The Super Bowl halftime show is absolutely terrible. One of the worst ever. It makes no sense. First off, it's an affront to the greatness of America and doesn't represent our standards of success, creativity, or excellence. Nobody understands a word this guy is saying. And the dancing is disgusting.
You had Latina Gaga, you had Ricky Martin, you had twerking Latinas, which I don't even know if twerking is like a Latina thing. I don't know.
Yeah, they were more shaking. They were gyrating.
You had two guys grinding on each other. You know, family-friendly entertainment. Let's go to the world of sports. You know that I don't know a whole lot about sports. I don't really pay all that much attention. I went to Josh's house for his Super Bowl party, and I left before the halftime show because I had already accomplished I ate good tacos. You made very good tacos.
Thank you.
Nice.
But you missed Ricky Martin.
I did miss Ricky Martin.
And Latina Gaga.
I see. That's the thing. I didn't even know that she was Latina.
You know what's funny is I saw a woman in a blue dress singing a Bruno Mars song. He wasn't there, but she was singing a Bruno Mars song, and I said it out loud. I didn't know it was Lady Gaga. And I go, oh, it's Latina Gaga, like making a joke.
Yeah.
And this morning I was like, oh,
it really was.
Oh, well, I was on point.
Well, for those of you who think football, right? You think Americana. Of course. Well, this year instead you had Bad Bunny and mainly Puerto Rico, highlighting certain sort of cultural touchstones like sugarcane, dominoes, power lines, and no joke, EBT. EBT was someone put this into their design. Like, here's the clip. Watch. And I thought,
not a single sign for cigarettes.
No.
It's the La Marqueta.
And I thought someone just missed it, but then, again, check all the references. We make those available every show. 43% of Puerto Ricans are on EBT.
Dadgum!
43%. Puerto Rico contributes $5 billion in taxes
That's
to
good.
the United States. They receive $40 billion in benefits from taxpayers. So one could argue that objectively, it's not a good place. It's a failure of a place, you could argue, because they can't sustain themselves.
No.
But then they'll come here and tell us how great Puerto Rico is and how we should embrace our Well, how about when Puerto Ricans stop embracing our tax revenue? Then we can embrace, their culture of tiny blades and crime.
Would I be guilty of a crime if I led like a movement for a revolution so that Puerto Rico could be free? If like we were chanting, would that make it like is that sedition?
No, I don't think so.
I think we're fine then.
No, because we're not American.
Free Puerto Rico.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you bastards.
So here's the thing. According to and this is where people talk about division. Okay, you can look at the reaction and say that America is divided. But that's not the starting point. The starting point is those in positions of power, institutions, the entertainment, media, industrial complex, right? You can include big tech there. They chose to thrust something that was distinctly not American into an American annual event. They did that on purpose so that they can divide Americans, because they will have a very loud contingency of people who support that. So if you look at the internet, you'll see half of the people thought it was the greatest halftime show ever, including, Andrew Schultz.
That's crazy. We saw a boob once.
Yeah, I know. The other half, including the president, they didn't like it. President Trump wrote on Truth, he wrote,
The Super Bowl halftime show is absolutely terrible. One of the worst ever. It makes no sense. First off, it's an affront to the greatness of America and doesn't represent our standards of success, creativity, or excellence. Nobody understands a word this guy is saying. And the dancing is disgusting, especially for young children that are watching from throughout the USA and all over the world. And by the way, the NFL should immediately replace its ridiculous new kickoff rule.
You know what? The rest of it's funny. That last part's the only one I act like truly. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
He's right.
That kickoff rule is ridiculous.
No one understands him. He's speaking some weird foreign tongue. And the dancing is more like sexual undulation.
That's what he meant to say.
Gay sexual undulation. I went inside and actually had turned the channel. I was like, oh, hey, what happened? She's like, oh, the halftime show came on, and there was two guys grinding on each other. And I was like,
they were in the door of a 50-year-old Ford truck.
We'll get to that because we have clips that no doubt will get us removed because they don't believe in fair use, those at the NFL. It's time for I Know Sports, though I don't. Yeah, so there was Latina Gaga.
Don't say that to yourself, because earlier you nailed it. You said they were in center field.
I don't even know if that's
So
is that a thing?
No,
in baseball,
it absolutely is a thing. In football,
Midfield?
no.
Midfield here.
Well, hold on. There's some stadiums, Josh, used to be both football and baseball fields, but they're
Sure.
not really anymore,
No.
so he doesn't get that one. No.
Sorry, Steven.
Yeah.
I was wondering when I can get back to doing the thing.
What, the show?
Yeah. Okay. So what did you have? You had Latina Gaga. You had Ricky Martin. You had twerking Latinas, which I don't even know if twerking is like a Latina thing. I don't know.
Yeah, they were more shaking. They were gyrating.
You had two guys grinding on each other. You know, family-friendly entertainment. But, and I get it. Look, we've already descended down the rabbit hole here as far as degeneracy. And I get it. I'm not a prude, but this is something that is meant to be watched by families. This show you're watching right now is PG-13. The Super Bowl halftime show should be something that you don't have to shield your children from accidentally seeing. That is a change. That is a change culturally. You let me know if you think that's a good thing. Then you have the finale. This brings us to kind of the meat of this here. Bad Bunny declared his love, and we must have different definitions, but his love for America. So, yes, of course, we all know he's naming a bunch of, technically, I get it, America, continent, okay, fine. It's not lost on me. All right, before the fact checkers get upset. Named every place really but the United States until he finally got to it, or threw them all in the same pot. Now, I don't think so. I think the United States is much better than those places. And let me go through this and have the ding ready there, Billy. I realized, wait a second. When you talk about Hispanic, South American, Latin American pride, do you realize that every place he just named is objectively awful? Let me go through it. Chile, 868 kidnappings in 2024. Argentina is probably the best amongst them. They reached an 8-year low as far as inflation in 2025 of 31%.
Jeez.
Uruguay, first Latin American country to legalize suicide. Paraguay actually is one that's actually, I'll let them be exempt. Conservative, uninterrupted conservative leadership for about 70 years. Bolivia, of course, are seeking to decriminalize cocaine. Peru, large swaths of the interior completely ungoverned. Or Ecuador, let's go through that. Murder rate 8 times that of the global average. Brazil, the current president jailed his political enemy and former President Bolsonaro, and they have a rogue Supreme Court. By the way, Rumble is banned in Brazil. Colombia, their most valuable export is cocaine. Venezuela, well, they had 345,000% on inflation, but it's managed to go down to 172. Panama, 2 times the homicide rate of the United States. Costa Rica just hit record high homicide rates due to drug trafficking. Nicaragua, war-torn under communist rule since 2007. The Sandinistas. El Salvador, home to MS-13. Guatemala, under a state of emergency for gang violence. Mexico, the cartel literally controls 1/3 of all Mexican territory. Do I need to do Cuba, communism, totalitarian dictatorship? They arrest people if they simply speak out against their government. Dominican Republic, at least it's not Haiti, so I guess we'll give them that one. And Canada, well, you know, Canada is a communist hellhole, and in 2024, 5% of their deaths were due to assisted suicide, because that's a big thing there. So when he goes through all those places, we're just like, yeah, isn't that great? We're rooting for anyone who's not America, because America is objectively better by pretty much any quantifiable metric you want to use. And historically, nations that were better off didn't spend their time bringing in immigrants from said other nations, and certainly not praising or in any way modeling their successful nation after the unsuccessful ones. So really all we're asking for here is, hey, football, an American sport, Super Bowl, an American event, watched by Americans. How about you extol the virtues of America and just make it, America-centric, the way all of these other nations with their backwards sports where they kick a tin can around a road and call it a sport. I have no idea what they do in their country. Are we allowed to have something for us that's, distinctly American? I get you guys want to say melting pot, but at a certain point, if the melting pot is filled with shit, maybe we go, let's go a different direction. The performance was so inspiring, by the way, to Puerto Ricans that San Juan now has plans for their own NFL team, the San Juan Snappers. So they're,
Oh, nice.
How much you want to bet that Snapper's going to buy Coca-Cola with
That's
it?
right. Sugary drinks.
Yeah. And this is the thing, this is the only country where this takes place. And I want you guys to, we'll go from the Super Bowl to the Olympics here. Here's what's really important. You often ask me, hey, what can I do? How can I do something? How can we push back against this? You're doing it by watching right now, and have these conversations with everybody. I've talked about this in the past. The 60s, a lot of people believe it was the flower power era, the hippies. Mainstream America hated them. Mainstream America couldn't stand hippies, but now we believe that they were somehow the movers, the shakers, the social, the cultural revolutionaries. No, they were despised then. They should be despised now. History writers and those in media will try to make generations from now, 20, 30, 40 years, they will try and convince them when they look back that at this moment in time, this country hated fascist Donald Trump and that everyone wanted this multicultural, pro-Puerto Rico, pro-every country other than the United States of America, that everyone here was protesting ICE, that everyone, mainstream America did not believe in deportations. They're going to try and convince people 30, 40 years from now that who you hate, who Americans can't stand, are just like the hippies, who we also couldn't stand, but for some reason have been mainstreamed. So let me make this really clear. This is taking place at the Olympics right now. And these are the voices that get amplified. They do not represent you. That's the disconnect. The Super Bowl doesn't represent average Americans, and your Olympic athletes don't represent the average American. You know, someone who's proud to be American. Then I'll give you a parallel example to the '68 Mexico Olympics. Let's watch this right now. Olympians trash their homeland.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S.
I think that as a country, we need to focus on respecting everybody's rights and making sure that we're treating our citizens as well as anybody with love and respect.
Sure, citizens.
And I hope that when people look at athletes compete in the Olympics, they realize that that's the America that we're trying to represent.
It's been a hard time for the community overall under this administration. It isn't the first time that we've had to come together as a community and try and fight for.
It's been hard. Lowered inflation, higher labor force participation, higher average wages. It's been hard.
Voice throughout these games to try and encourage people to stay strong. It is something that I will not just be quiet about because it is something that affects us in our everyday lives.
Be quiet. I think you should consider being quiet about it.
That would be a good.
Only in the 21st century can a white American woman see it as a virtue to be annoying. I know people would rather me, like, I close my yap, but I'm going to keep nagging. Yeah, but you actually don't represent mainstream Americans. And here's the thing, it creates actual victims, right? The fake victimhood always creates real victims. Let me bring you back to Mexico City, 1968. Many people look back, the picture of those Olympics, right? It's the famous black fist. Yeah, bring this up. BET, they called this, the emblematic. That was a moment in time. The black power fist at the '68 Olympics. Here's what they don't tell you. An actual angry young black man who was raised poor, who had to fight his way to the top, and was grateful for his opportunities here in the United States that he knows would not have been afforded to him in any other nation. Man named George Foreman. He won Olympic gold that year, and he decided to wave an American flag because he loved America, and he was vilified for it. This.
And there's George holding up the American flag in the center of the ring before thousands of impressed spectators and millions more of television viewers. An inspiring ending to Olympic boxing.
And he faced backlash for that. Now, not from the average Americans who were happy to support him, by the way. He faced backlash from the hippies, those who were spitting on troops who were coming home from Vietnam. He faced backlash from when he faced Muhammad Ali, Don King. They started kind of a race war where they called him an Uncle Tom and tried to ostracize him in the black community. And he was still mad about it later in his life. Here he is talking about it.
And then having the chance to represent my country in Mexico City, and I'm standing in the middle of that ring, just won my Olympic gold medal. People started applauding. I said, I gotta let them know where I'm from. Hey, look, I'm from America. So I waved the flag. I'd gotten home and some people took offense to it. How could you do that, George? How could you do that when the brothers were doing that? And looking back in hindsight, put another chip on my shoulder because I dared anyone to even bring that up again in that fashion. So it just made a tougher guy out of me.
And then here's the important thing, too, is you look at what they did with their lives. You look at all the protesters, you look at the people who hated America, and let's copy paste that to the most likely scenario with those folks today. George Foreman, he retired. He actually had a death experience, not near death. He had a death experience. He flatlined, went out, became a minister, started a youth center. He came back to boxing just so that he could fund his youth center, happened to win the heavyweight title of the world, and then made millions of dollars off of a grill. This is a man who lived a life where he helped people, and he was an activist. How is a guy like that not an activist? A guy who actually serves his community and gives back to those who are poor. He was still working with poor black kids. So don't let the media try and crystallize this moment in time. Don't don't find yourself talking with your children in the year 2040 something, having it tell them, no, not everybody hated America back then. And it starts right now. Push back today so that we don't end up with this myth that the left, and not even the fringe, the left, the Democrat Party, that they represent all of America, because they didn't back then in the 60s, and they do not now. You are the voice of this country. And I will say this, you are a more important voice for this country if you are an American worker, an American taxpayer, if you are contributing and raising a family and you are helping to serve your community. Your voice matters more than the perpetually marginalized and offended. Yes, you are more American, and these entities, they don't represent you. That's what I want the takeaway to be. They will try and point back to this moment in time and Bad Bunny and a famous iconic picture, just like a daisy being put in a rifle back in the 60s. And the truth is, we can't stand them now, just like your parents couldn't stand them then. These are San Francisco retreads who deserve to be mocked. Do it in real time and make sure the record shows that this has been I kind of know sports.
So really quickly,
yes.
I think we should have a rule for the Olympics. Like the Olympics to me are not important enough to just let our athletes go over there and trash the country, essentially. So if you're going to go over there, you're going to represent this country. And if you get a question that's uncomfortable, you
mean they are important enough?
No, I'm saying they're not. I would rather not send them over. I would rather our athletes miss these games. It's like, yeah, you want to go over and represent the country? You better be damn proud to be wearing that flag on that stage. And if you're not going.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'd rather send over somebody who won't place than send over the best person in the world to do a crappy job of representing us. I don't care enough.
I thought you meant that I thought you were saying it's important enough that we can't have people who are
No. I'm saying the Olympics themselves are like, I'm sure they're massively popular. Fine, whatever. I don't think they're nearly as popular as they used to be. But I don't care enough about winning that gold medal for this country to send over bad representation. And the NFL, there wasn't clamoring by the fans here in the United States for Bad Bunny.
No.
There wasn't enough people that wanted that guy or understood his songs or wanted to have him perform. It's a cash grab by the NFL trying to get fans in South American countries. That is exactly what they're doing with games in Mexico, games in Brazil. They're trying to expand the brand. But here's the problem.
Goodell said,
The problem is they're selling out the American fan that built it, that gave it its backbone.
Yeah.
The entire
to try to grab the world.
Yeah, the entire point of the Olympics is to represent your country.
Yes.
Right. So if you're not going to, that seems like it should be a prerequisite.
I don't ever want to win a gold medal again as long as we have good representation. If we've got both, fantastic. Let's win all the golds. I don't care enough about a gold medal to have crap like that go on a world stage for ungrateful pricks.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right about the NFL and that show they picked. They said Goodell says that he's looking for a record number of international games next year.
Yep.
I think this year it was like 8 or 9 or something like that. They play one in Brazil. They play one in Mexico.
Germany, England, a couple.
Yeah, but South America specifically, there's a big push to put more NFL games in the Western Hemisphere so that guys don't lose as much time traveling and stuff like that. But they want to get that market.
And here's the thing: it won't work. Let me give you some proof. You know what actually is a far more international sport? Mixed martial arts.
Soccer.
Yeah, but I'm just saying mixed martial arts is a good example, and Dana White will have he'll have the president there. They're fine being patriotic. They're fine being pro-American. And guess what? When they go to Brazil, they're okay with it.
It's an American
They expect
product.
you. When you are an American fighter and you go to Brazil, the entire crowd, meaning there aren't enough people in Brazil with a conscience to say, maybe we shouldn't shout this out loud on the record. They will shout that they will kill you in the stadium. They literally will chant, "You will die, we will kill you." We are the only nation on earth where we don't unilaterally cheer our guy. Other countries, if one of their people is competing, they will support him and he will wear the flag. So there are sports that actually are far more internationally successful. And guess what? They are not offended by patriotism. They're not. It's pandering. And what happens is you have a film industry that's created off of the backs of Americans, and then they want to squeeze more money out and they want to appeal to China. and you have a sport that is distinctly American, they go, well, now though that we've gotten they take you for granted. You're going to tune in anyway. So let's get rid of the patriotic symbolism, and let's pander to other nations. You're gonna go see this movie anyway. Well, how has that worked out for the film industry? Hey, they got more market share in China. How's the box office doing in the United States? I'm not saying it's just that. I get it. COVID, people are watching from home, but still, that's what's going to happen with the NFL if they keep going down this path, and they can do it. That's fine. Just make your voices heard. That's it. Doesn't offend me.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I'm not offended by it at all. Not triggered. I'm not going to watch it. Oh, you're still here, which is a miracle in the age of Instagram and shorts. I think you have some shorts up there. You have an attention span that is longer than that of a fruit gnat. So thank you. I'm glad you probably would like it a lot more if you actually head over and subscribe on Rumble. I'm live there 5 days a week, 11 a.m. Eastern, where free speech is still alive. Go to Rumble. Get off the social media ghetto that is YouTube, with a lot of homosexual activity here on YouTube. There may be some on Rumble, but I haven't seen it.